This is your sole means of escape. You, foolish one, ensnared by the Changui and led into Sanguinim's tomb. Darkness looms before you, and a ghost clings upon your back. Do not answer. Do not unbar the door. Purify your body and endure until the full moon rises, and go to the shrine to perform the ritual. Then you shall live to see the sun rise. However, the Changui shall relentlessly pursue anyone it deems worthy prey. You, who has already been ensnared by the tiger, can never escape. The ghost shall linger at your doorstep, at your bedside as you sleep. The sacrifice must have reasoning, warm blood, and a voice. Only then can the Changui be deceived. Offer the sacrifice, and follow the moonlit path to a small pit of serpents. This is your sole means of escape. There is no other way.
That's the end. Fascinating, isn't it? I closed the book, my hands frozen. So that's what it was. In the exploration record, it was only described in a line or two. A sacrifice was chosen by drawing lots, and when the chosen one refused, they were tied to a post and dragged away. But looking at it directly, the eerie, unsettling weight of the words pressed down on me. Just then, something tucked into the final page of the book slipped out. It was a small paper card. When I picked it up, I saw hurried handwriting scrawled on the back. I flipped the card over.
Department of History, Jukang University.
Could this be someone who had read the book before me? In the meantime, Section Chief Lee, who could read classical Chinese, seemed to be stumbling through the text on his own. And then he froze in terror.
Gishengwu, to this. Doesn't this mean one person has to be sacrificed?
Right. If just one of us dies, the rest can survive. Section Chief Lee began rubbing his palms anxiously, his eyes darting around.
But, if we don't do it, we'll all die anyway, so...
Wouldn't it be enough if the right person died? Someone who likely wouldn't make it out anyway, right? Is that a self-introduction? But as I glanced down, I noticed the look on Section Chief Lee's face.
To be honest, one of those kids, if you hadn't arrived, they'd probably all be dead anyway. We should focus on getting ourselves out of here. If just one of them dies and the rest of us get out alive, well, isn't that still a good thing?
I never thought I'd hear this kind of talk in real life. Given that he's been trapped here for a week, consumed by the fear of death and panic, I could understand his desperation. But still, I can't agree to that kind of talk. I glanced at the text in classical Chinese. This book specifies a sentient being with intellect as the sacrifice. I tilted my head slightly. Can a child who hasn't even reached adulthood be considered a fully sentient being? I stared steadily at Section Chief Lee. It's adults who would qualify as sacrifices, don't you think? Which means there's only one option. Section Chief Lee, sweating profusely, his pupils quivering, opened his mouth to speak. I'm the only eligible person here. Excluding the kids and you, Section Chief Lee, who've been trapped here for a week and are mentally unstable. But I don't want to die. I'll look for another way. I resumed examining the book, after a long silence.
I'm sorry. Talking about sacrificing the kids, what kind of person am I to even say such a thing? Ha 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 ha!
Section Chief Lee sat down, looking utterly defeated.
On the first night, it was my father.
He had passed away in his hospital bed from cancer, but I hadn't been able to be there when he died because of work.
Then my father, crying, called out, "Byung-jina, let me see your face," asking me to open the door. I held my head and resisted, and then the ghost started hurling all sorts of insults and jeers at me, all in my father's voice.
Section Chief Lee buried his face in his hands.
Every single night, it's someone else. A dead family member, friend, neighbor, coming to visit, calling out in their voices. All of them, everyone I've known, anyone who's died. It's as if they're all pulled out from the depths. I can barely hold on to my sanity. If hell exists, it's right here.
Come to think of it, the middle schoolers hadn't even known there was a ghost knocking on the door. And they'd been here for 2 days. Has he practically been standing guard by the door? Whether it was intentional, accidental, or due to some ghostly influence, his actions had, in a way, shielded the kid's mental state. It felt strangely poignant. I looked at Section Chief Lee for a moment before nodding. If this place is hell, then all the more reason to escape it. I'll study this book more closely, and... Both Section Chief Lee and I turned to face the door simultaneously. The voice had returned. A haunted house, trapped by the Changui's lure. A voice called out again from outside the front door of the abandoned house. This time it was a low male voice.
No. Who is it this time?
The section chief clamped his hands over his mouth, stifling a scream.
Please open the door.
A dead person? Who is it? Who's out there? Well, let's run. Let's get out of here.
This time, I absolutely won't NSW.
I moved toward the door and pulled the handle. When the door opened, what appeared was
Whoa, I thought I was gonna die, thanks.
a human in decent shape, with a slender build, light-colored hair, and wearing a faded navy blue uniform.
Section Chief Lee Byongjin, please greet him.
I gave a respectful nod.
This is the Sergeant of Security Unit 3.
The Sergeant of Security Team's Unit 3, who had been pulled into this ghost story alongside me. His face looks about ready to burst. Section Chief Lee alternated between pointing at me and the security sergeant, his face beet red, before he snapped his finger and let out a bizarre groan. Well, isn't it obvious? You're the one who explained it yourself.
Every single night, it's someone else, a dead family member, friend, neighbor, coming to visit, calling out in their voices. And they only come once a night.
Incidentally, similar statements had been blatantly recorded in the Something Unknown. When someone's dragged into an abandoned house by the Changui, every night it appeared at the door, pleading in the voices of dead loved ones, subjecting its prey to mental torment and confusion. When they say every night, they mean it's a daily cycle. But I couldn't exactly tell Section Chief Lee. There's a magical record, Something Unknown. The section chief looked strangely blank. In any case, since I was right, let's leave it at that. After verifying that the security sergeant had entered the abandoned house, I promptly closed the door and secured the handle. Just looking outside was enough to send chills down my spine. It was shocking enough that this guy had made it all the way to the door without being dragged away by the Changui, but, well, he's part of the security team after all. The real surprise was that he hadn't come alone. He was something unknown. The sergeant answered with a bright smile.
Look, I found the missing person.
The missing person is this person, though.
They're even different genders. I checked the person that the sergeant had casually dropped onto the floor. In a very disheveled state, she sank to the ground of the abandoned house and began to wail, seemingly oblivious to her surroundings.
Ooh-ah! It's over. It's all over.
She just keeps saying that. This place is better. I woke up earlier in some place that felt like a shaman's hut. It was cold, dark, and damp, and I didn't like it there.
This is a disaster. All I wanted was a sensible companion. I miss my D-Squad superiors. Still, I took a closer look at the crying person. She was dressed in a now filthy white gown with a name tag on the chest. I immediately pulled out a small business card. It was the one tucked in the old book labeled Path to Survival.
Department of History, Jukang University. Leaving tomorrow.
By any chance, if you're the person on this card, did you try out the instructions from the book?
The woman nodded, sniffling.
Yes, but it was all futile.
Wait. What do you mean for futile? Does that even make sense?
Exactly what I said.
With a dark expression, she pulled something out of her coat.
If you go about 100 steps from here, as written in that book, there's a shrine. I'm pretty sure it's the shrine mentioned in the book. And this, I copied down from the woodblock there.
She glanced at me with a tired expression.
Looks like you read the book thoroughly, too. Do you study Korean history? This was written in a style from hundreds of years ago.
No, I just happen to have a monster friend.
Anyway, so if we just do exactly what's written on that wooden tablet, shouldn't it work? Why do you keep saying it's impossible and crying about it? Because it is impossible. Look, Ajusi, I'm not an idiot. I tried to follow what was written on the woodblock. It said to gather 3 plums, crush them in a cup and sprinkle it outside. I did all of that. I did everything, but...
Sionya took a breath, staring into the air, then held up the backside of the paper she had pulled out, as if to show it to us.
Prepare a song to offer to Sangun Nim. The more it is known among people, the more effective it will be. Write the lyrics down and place them in the incense holder. Sing loudly, clap every step, and bow every 30 steps.
A song for Sangun Nim.
Sionya's eyes widened as she asked urgently.
Sang-gun-nim is a tiger, right? Then what immediately comes to mind? Any song related to tigers. Anything that praises a tiger, whether it's a children's song or a folk tune.
Section Chief Lee stammered, then began.
In the mountain, the great hero.
Right, on the tiger's birthday. Yes, that one. I thought of it too, and that's what I tried to use.
Go Sionha dropped her head.
But it says, once a song has been used, it can't be used again. The incense holder was already stuffed with used lyrics. Of course, Mountain Hero was already there. It says, Sang-gun-nim is fickle and enjoys songs, so he will not accept the same one twice. Sure, in folk tales, tigers smoke pipes and dance, but this is...
Seething, Go Sionya shouted into the air, then turned to us with a desperate look.
Children's songs, folk songs, instrumental pieces. Is there anything else that comes to mind besides Mountain Hero? Anything, just anything. There's nothing, right? Of course. There isn't.
Go Sionha clutched her head in frustration.
I'm not a Korean music major, and it's not like I can just look it up somewhere. Oh, no!
I didn't know the songs couldn't be repeated either. Even in the something unknown, there were 2 or 3 records of people performing rituals in places they were lured to by the Changui, each time using a different song. There were everything from folk games to instrumental pieces. I thought the different songs were just something the collective wisdom on the wiki included for fun. I didn't realize there was such a specific detail hidden there. And even if I wanted to use the songs listed on the wiki, only the titles were provided. No lyrics, no melodies. The air in the abandoned house grew even colder. The air in the abandoned house grew even colder. I exhaled slowly, then carefully read the Chinese characters on the paper that was said to be copied from the shrine's woodblock, with bronze help.
I have a few questions for you, if that's all right. How many days have you been here?
Go Sionha's face turned pale.
But after a few days, I started hearing the sound of some crazy man wandering around. So I hid in the attic.
The crazy man looked at Go Sionya with a slightly offended expression.
And a few days later, I started hearing children's voices, too. I didn't know what else to do. So when the full moon came tonight, I slipped outside while this guy was dozing off.
And then you went to the shrine to try and perform the ritual.
I nodded, then moved on to the next question.
But something doesn't add up. The ritual explicitly states that a sacrifice is required. Why did you go alone?
I'm not going to pretend I was sacrificing myself to save the kids or anything.
Go Siana clenched her fists so tightly that her knuckles turned white.
I just went to check how it was done. To make a decision. But yes, while I was doing it, I realized what was going on. I read the writings of those who attempted it before. Tonight is the full moon. Once tonight ends, that's it! I can't hold out for another 15 days until the next full moon. I know the ghost will open the door.
Yes, so the ritual needs to be performed before sunrise.
Thinking of the single talisman left on the door handle, I nodded to myself.
But I'm telling you, it's impossible.
I shook my head and stood up.
I think it might be possible.
The ritual, I mean.
An alternative came to mind, a feasible one.
I'll start preparing.
Wait, hold on. No, I mean, even if it's doable, we'd have to gather all the necessary materials from outside again. And I've already used everything I found.
I looked again at the paper with the copied ritual instructions.
Ingredients: 3 plums, salt, ashes from a burned peach branch, 1 bucket of well water.
So all of it needs to be gathered from outside. In the middle of the night, with the Changui lurking around, and a safe way to get around on my own. Of course, there is a way. One that only I can use.
Would you like me to turn off the light for you, Mr. Rodeer?
Do I really have to go out there alone? I glanced back at the others instinctively. My terrified heart was screaming to go as a group altogether, while my brain held me back, firmly warning me not to do anything stupid. This is driving me nuts. But in the end, reason won out. Honestly, I'd prefer if someone came with me. If anyone's willing to volunteer, someone is, right? Surprisingly, Go Sion-hya raised one hand.
I've done it before, so I could at least guide you to where everything is located.
Oh ho, Don't interfere. Sit down, student.
But Section Chief Lee, alarmed, jumped up and quickly pulled her back.
This isn't someone you should be thinking of as just another person like us. He's not your average guy.
Well, that's a bit much.
Just mark down the locations and give them to him. Quickly.
Go. Seonha looked a bit reluctant, but after glancing at me, nodded with a resigned expression. She then marked on the blank spaces of the ritual paper where she'd found the materials and handed it to me.
Oh, and be careful around water. The Changui are ghosts cursed by tigers and bound to serve them, but historically, the term also referred to water ghosts.
Go, Seonha swallowed nervously, her face pale.
If you hear water, rivers, streams, any water sounds, just avoid it. Don't even look, just keep walking.
I'm seriously so fucking scared, what the fuck? Anyway, with everything in place, I stepped toward the door.
Oh, you're going out alone?
I'd rather not, but here we are.
If anything happens, please look after everyone here.
The security team's role isn't to protect people, but they're still better than ordinary civilians, especially when it comes to handling supernatural creatures. The security sergeant just looked at me intently.
You don't really seem like a regular employee. Fascinating. All right, I'll stay put then. Don't exactly have equipment for this.
Then he plopped down near the door. Anyway, it seems like we're ready to go. I took a deep, quiet breath, then gripped the door handle and pulled. The darkness was thick with fog. The door closed behind me. Even though it was supposed to be a full moon, the fog was so dense it completely blocked out the moonlight. Branches swayed in the breeze, their shadows stretching and blending into the pale hints of deep darkness. I managed to take my first step.
Friend, from now on, I'll dim your light. You'll disappear into the blind spots of cameras. Fade into the shadows behind the stage.
With every step, a dark, shadowy heaviness seemed to press down on me. It's still such a strange feeling, no matter how often I experience it. Slowly, I faded into the misty forest, dim and shadowy.
Phew! Feels a little lighter here!
Of course, the fear was still overwhelming. My heart felt like it was going to explode.
Walk straight up to the left from the abandoned house, and you'll see a large tree with a golden rope tied around it.
Go Siona's rough map, with arrows and notes, lingered in my mind, guiding each step I took. I could barely tell front from back, so it was incredible how Go Siona had managed to gather the ritual materials. After what felt like an hour, though only a few minutes had passed.
Ah, Mr. Rodeer, I see something up ahead.
Just as Braun said, something started to emerge through the fog. It was a giant tree shrouded in mist. A faint sweet scent drifted from it whenever its branches swayed. There aren't any fruits, so where's the scent coming from? It was sweet, yet somehow unsettling. A golden rope hung from the tree, stretched between two thick branches. Beyond it, I could see a small field.
Oh, is that farmland? A small garden in the mountains, aesthetic but not quite my taste.
Braun's tone was cheerful, but my mind was far from light-hearted. The book I'd read earlier had called this place Sangunnim's burial ground, hadn't it? And it's also where the materials for the ritual are located. This must be a supernatural area. I moved carefully, inching forward while gathering the materials around the area.
Face the left with the big tree on your right, and you'll see smaller trees, plum trees.
I picked up fallen fruit beneath the plum trees and some dried branches near the enormous peach tree. Of course, I didn't dare pick fruit directly or break off any branches. Not gonna risk that. Standing alone in a forest at midnight is frightening enough, but imagine being trapped here, cursed by spirits. And to top it off, I had a mission to complete. You'd naturally become as cautious as possible. Finally, I collected salt from a worn stone pagoda, where it seemed to have been scattered as a warding charm. Honestly, I nearly screamed earlier while drawing water from the well when I heard the bucket knocking against something inside, but I managed to get everything. The surroundings were still quiet. I let out the tiniest sigh of relief. Now, if I return to the peach tree and retrace my steps, I should get back to the abandoned house. As I started retracing my path, something I hadn't noticed before caught my eye. At the end of the golden rope on the peach tree, a piece of clean silk was tied. There was writing on it.
You who lack the right, turn back.
Yeah, definitely not touching that. Maintaining a safe 1 meter distance, I nodded cautiously.
You look tense, Mr. Rodeer.
It seems like you need a right to cross this line. Given that I'm here because of a ghostly curse, there's no way I'd have.
But you do have the right! Take a look at your wrist!
I raised my hand to check the inside of my wrist, where the theme park wristband had been. The tattoo that had been left there from the burnt-out membership band now shimmered faintly. Socius, wasn't that the word? The Latin term for companion, member, kinsman.
Oh, it seems the mark has broader applications than expected! Whether the mascot's connections are wide or it has a part-time job elsewhere, who can say? So, friend, will you use your membership?
I stepped up to the golden rope and slowly reached out my hand. The shimmering rope parted, passing gently around my arm as if it were nothing. Carefully, I stepped forward, into the garden where entry was now permitted. The moment I stepped over the golden rope, my foot touched the ground. It felt like I'd entered a special field in a game or something. The fog vanished as if by magic, revealing the scenery around me. Under the full moon, the field in the mountain was far larger than I had expected. A massive field sprawling over the ridge. The dark, deep green swayed quietly under the bluish moonlight. Yet there was nothing peaceful or pleasant about it. A strange scent lingers here, and among those swaying green plants I noticed clusters of small red berries. Wait a minute. Is this a field of ginseng? Wait, ginseng is typically cultivated by people, but this didn't seem to be human-grown. All of this is wild ginseng. I quickly scanned the field and saw a sign posted at the edge. I immediately turned around, intending to cross back over the golden rope. 1,000-year-old wild ginseng? It's like opening a friend's pencil case to borrow a pen and finding it filled with gold bars instead. Just as I was about to cross back over the rope,
Honored guest, please don't leave me!
a faint, trembling voice called out, with the sound of soft sobbing from behind me. Slowly, I turned my head halfway.
The ghost bound to the tiger is coming to take me! A terrifying tiger will tear me limb from limb and spit me out upon the earth! Please save me, please!
One of the berries in the field wobbled as if waving at me. Then, realizing I was looking, its leaves drooped dejectedly.
Ah, my time has come! I will be shredded with nothing left but fragments of flesh!
I turned fully to face the wild ginseng plant. The bundle of berries shook vigorously in response to my gaze.
Better to be consumed by you than to be taken by that wicked tiger! If you take me, boil me in a large iron pot, your illnesses will be cured, and even elderly parents will rise with newfound strength!
Come to think of it, in folklore, wild ginseng was often depicted as a benevolent, mystical being, a gift given to those of good character. I knelt down in front of the trembling wild ginseng. I reached out my hand to the wild ginseng, but then straightened up again. Then, as if the ground were quaking, an ominous, raspy voice erupted.
Ha! You saw through me! You worthless thing!
This place is called Sangun Nim's burial ground. Have you heard the tales that spirits do everything backward? And here I was, in a place haunted by spirits and ominously named a burial site. There's no way that wild ginseng growing in a place would be normal. I wouldn't be surprised if its properties were entirely reversed. I expected this.
Hey!
The wild ginseng started to wriggle and rise from the ground. Its half-emerged form, glowing a sickly bluish purple, looked like something straight out of a zombie miniature. It even began coughing up something dark and reddish like blood. I prepared myself for this, but it's still terrifying.
You will be buried too! You'll be buried here and become ginseng! Your limbs chopped so you can rot! Feel the agony of living! D-F!
The surrounding leaves twisted like tentacles, extending roots out of the soil, writhing and reaching toward me. Ooh-wah. Without hesitation, I immediately grabbed something from my waist. Snow White's apple. This item has the peculiar effect of inducing a sleep akin to death upon consumption. So, what was I supposed to do with this? I thought it would be hard to chew an apple in an emergency anyway. I'd ground it into juice in advance. I took out a sealed pack of juice made from the Snow White apple and splashed it generously over the field in front of me.
Hey! That won't work, you fool! I shall rip your limbs asunder and—
Fell into a deep sleep. Snow White's apple. Its effect was as reliable as ever. Carefully, I stepped closer. The half-buried, grotesque ginseng lay motionless on the ground, completely knocked out. It was a strange sight, like a cockroach lying flat after being hit by bug spray, or a cat or dog dozing peacefully, belly up.
Oh, rude, but that was quite an amusing character. How about taking it as a souvenir?
Normally, I would have thought he was crazy, but I cautiously examined the ginseng. It had talked, shown emotions, tried to deceive me, and calculated its actions. Something like sap even seemed to be flowing through it. So if that's the case, isn't it a sentient being? I'd found it a substitute sacrifice.
So, you gathered all the materials, prepared the ritual, and for the sacrifice, you're planning to use this strange wild ginseng. Is that correct?
The people in the abandoned house looked utterly dumbfounded after hearing the abridged version of what Kim Soleum encountered outside. Maybe I summarized it too much, but there was no helping it. I couldn't explain exactly how I'd managed everything, so it ended up as, anyway, I got everything. I still feel a bit uneasy about bringing back the wild ginseng, but it's easier on my conscience than randomly picking a person to die. I had no idea whose land this belonged to, but if it was a real issue, Braun would have raised an alarm. Trying to keep a natural expression, I looked around at the others. They were still gawking at me, switching their gaze between the materials and the wild ginseng. But they seemed to buy it.
Wow, as expected from the security team, handling even things.
Feeling a bit guilty, I glanced over at the actual member of the security team. The security sergeant lay among the middle schoolers, looking thoroughly bored. Somehow, the kids had started chatting with him, as if they'd already introduced themselves.
Hey, you don't look that strong.
No, I'm super strong.
The kids were laughing, seeming a bit more at ease with more people around.
So, we're all going to the shrine now to perform the ritual.
The shrine is nearby, so as long as we move carefully, it should be fine. Nothing happened when I was there last time.
By any chance, when you went out, did you visit the shrine too?
Taking advantage of Braun's ability to erase my presence, I'd even burned the peach branches. I'd nearly screamed a total of 3 times from nerves.
Then that makes it easier. Just walk quietly, don't make a sound, and move quickly. As long as we don't make mistakes in the fog, we'll be fine.
All right then. Let's go to the shrine together.
After taking a moment to steady our breathing and prepare ourselves, we lined up in front of the closed door.
Kids, you mustn't stop. Just keep walking.
At Go Siona's words, the kids, looking terrified, nodded. Then, reassured by the adults, they pressed their lips together tightly and fell into line. But why am I the one standing at the very front? Everyone, why are you naturally moving to the back? Did I simplify the story of gathering materials too much? It seems they think I'm some kind of fearless, resourceful genius. Please. Well, I guess it's still better than being at the very back. With resignation, I opened the door once more. Once again, the mountainside, shrouded in darkness and fog, appeared before us. The kids, looking terrified, clamped their mouths shut. We began moving slowly, as quietly as possible. With each little sound, our footsteps quickened. I could feel the oppressive tension surrounding the group, as if at any moment, the Changui might call out to us from behind and begin to chase us.
Friend, there's no need to rush too much. Remember, in case of emergency, this Braun is always by your side.
And thankfully, that emergency never came. Through the darkness and fog, the old tiled roof became visible, a worn-down shrine with red and blue tiles tilted at odd angles.
Everyone's here, right?
Those who had safely entered the shrine took a moment to catch their breath. Finally, the security sergeant, who had been lingering, closed the green paper door made of traditional Hanji paper and locked it. Section Chief Lee Bayongjin hurriedly attempted to stick a talisman he'd picked up from the floor of the abandoned house onto the door. But Go Sionya stopped him.
That might interfere with the ritual. Let's just leave it as is. We just need to finish quickly and get out.
Meanwhile, I took the opportunity to look around the shrine. As my eyes adjusted to the darkness, the shadowy outlines became clearer. Inside, it was eerily clean yet very old. Between 2 rusty Maitreya statues without heads was a broken incense burner. Above it was a slightly worn woodblock.
So, that must be the woodblock detailing the ritual. It's quite atmospheric.
Following Braun's whispered narration, I read aloud what was inscribed on the woodblock.
The human with the sturdiest mind and spirit should step forward to conduct the ritual.
Well, that's definitely not me. Hey, seriously, don't look at me. I turned my gaze naturally toward the security sergeant. The other two followed my gaze as well, but
I said I can't. Don't make me do it.
Section Chief Lee shrank back, then looked over at me. I stared back at him. Even if he's traumatized, he's got more guts than I do. Section Chief Lee stepped forward, his legs trembling only to turn back with a look of alarm, glancing between Go-seonya and me.
Wait a minute. Mountain Hero.
Go-seona's eyes widened as well.
Right, the song for Sangun Nim.
Yes, that's it. Even if we have all the materials, without that song, whether it's a children's song or a folk tune about tigers, we're stuck.
I called the middle schoolers over. Then, very politely, I asked,
Kids, you mentioned you were on a school trip, right? Did anyone keep listening to music on the bus? Or know a lot about celebrities?
The kids exchanged glances before motioning toward one student without bangs. I quickly turned to that student.
All right, Neonna, I need to ask you something.
I tried my best to put on a friendly, trustworthy expression. All the adults in the room had question marks on their faces.
What exactly are you doing right now?
There's a popular idol song that mentions a tiger in the lyrics, right?
I looked at the adults. They all had bewildered expressions.
But are we even allowed to use pop songs for this? Like an idol song?
If you look, it only specifies a song. It doesn't say it has to be a folk song or nursery rhyme.
This isn't some kind of internet creepypasta where we have to choose songs that fit the eerie atmosphere. There's no reason or need to pick something that matches the tone of a ghost story. Human bias had limited the options. I turned back to the student.
So, Neonna, do you remember any songs that mention Sangun Nim or Tiger? Something like that.
There is! St. Who's Peekaboo. There's also a song by Vitek.
Do you know the full lyrics to either of them? And is it a well-known one?
Yes, I know St. Who's Peekaboo!
I turned back to the adults and made a firm declaration.
We'll use St. Yu's Peekaboo as our song offering for Sangun Nim.
Take this idol song, O mighty tiger. Section Chief Lee Byung-jin stepped forward from the shadows, his trembling hands dropping ashes into the incense burner. They were ashes from the burned peach branches.
The one performing the ritual should step forward and place the peach branch ashes into the incense burner. Then inhale the fragrance. Gently close the lid of the incense burner and open it again once the scent has faded.
With shaking hands, the section chief closed the lid of the old, broken incense burner with its equally worn cover. After a few seconds, he lifted the lid. Amazingly, the ashes had vanished. In their place, a single intact incense stick was burning. A faint peach scent wafted from the small, twig-shaped incense stick.
If the incense is burning, it means Sangun Nim has acknowledged your devotion. Oh, everything's proceeding as planned. Excellent!
The smell was strong, so Go Seonha covered her nose and took a step back. The section chief hurried on to the next step.
Open the door made of hanji paper.
Through the open door, the dark forest came into view. The kids huddled behind the adults.
Crush 3 plums in a brass bowl and scatter them under the floorboards. Throw the remaining bowl to the east and never look back.
I handed 3 plums to Section Chief Lee. He crushed them with his fingers in the brass bowl and scattered them onto the dirt. The overpowering, sweet sour scent rose up. Go-seonya, who had been standing back, stepped forward, sniffing and looking a bit relieved. Then she motioned to Section Chief Lee. It was time for the third step.
Prepare a song to offer to Sangun Nim. The more well-known, the more effective it will be.
Section Chief Lee carefully rolled up the prepared lyrics sheet and placed it in the drawer under the incense stand.
Write the lyrics down, place them under the incense stand, then sing loudly, clapping with each step, and bow every 30 steps.
One by one, everyone stepped out through the open door. Section Chief Lee began singing the lyrics the student, Lee Naeun, had shared with him.
Peekaboo, here I come.
Peekaboo, here I come!
The middle schoolers joined in, singing in chorus, a song offered to Sangun Nim.